And now to the other Clarke, the import. John Clarke with Bryan Dawe on what it takes to run an economy.
Mr Costello, thanks for your time.
Very good to be with you, Bryan, and good evening.
You've announced you're going to introduce proper broadband.
Yes, broadband's coming in, Bryan. This is an initiative of mine. I've announced it. We're going to bring in proper broadband right across Australia.
Why didn't you do it earlier?
I'll come to that, Bryan. That's a good point. I will come to that.
Why did you say that we already had broadband when what we had really wasn't real broadband?
Yeah, good point, Bryan. No, I'll come to that one too. I'll be addressing both those in
Have we been charged for real broadband?
I don't know. Are you on dial-up, are you, Bryan?
Well, of course not.
No, well, in that case you probably have been charged for broadband.
Well, why?
I'll come to these matters, Bryan. I'll come to all these matters. They're all very good matters. And,
Mr Costello, have you thought about introducing a fairness test for broadband?
Bryan, I'll try and canvass all these matters in my answer. These matters are sensible matters and germane to the point.
Are you going to be paying for the new broadband out of the future fund?
Bryan, I will be addressing all these matters. I'm here to answer these questions and I will be addressing...
Okay, well, the point about this is why introduce broadband at all?
Well,
I mean,
Bryan, look,
really, we've done without it for 10 years. Why introduce it?
Bryan, I'm in charge of the Australian economy.
Do you want to rephrase that?
Yes, that was a little ill-considered. I'm the current treasurer, Bryan. And what we've got to do in this country is we've got to get competitive. We are competing. This country is competing with other countries where they have broadband like lightning. I mean,
like what countries are we talking about here?
Compared with Australia?
Yeah.
Compared with Australia, Bryan, all countries have broadband that goes like the wind. I mean, it's instantaneous.
So what's this thing we've had that you call broadband? What is it?
Well, imagine it as a pipe, Bryan.
Pipe.
Yeah, and you know, dial-up is just a trickle coming through the pipe, and proper broadband is the pipe working to full capacity with an enormous head of pressure behind it.
Gushing.
Fair gushing, Bryan.
So what is this thing that we've been calling broadband?
Well, just sticking with the pipe metaphor, what we've currently got in this country, Bryan, is a...
pipe.
Is a metaphor for a pipe, Bryan. No, it's not a pipe, it's a metaphor. It represents a pipe. It stands for pipery, generally. It connotes pipes.
Mr Costello, do you think it'll be midnight in a minute and you're going to turn back into a pumpkin?
Bryan, you're being a bit obtuse there. The point I'm trying to make is that I'm, you know, in charge of this area and the system doesn't work. We're going to fix it.
My point is, Mr Costello, you've had 10 years, a whole decade to fix this. Why bother bringing it in now? I mean, you haven't done it properly.
A pumpkin? What on earth are you talking about?
OK, another question. There's been some talk about what might happen after John Howard resigns.
Oh, John Howard's not going to resign.
Oh, come
Bryan,
on, Mr Costello.
This is a bankable fact.
You don't
write
think
this down.
So? You don't
John
think
Howard
so?
will not step down from the leadership.
Really?
No.
Why not?
He's promised me, Bryan. And he's a man of his. Get me a cab, will you, please, quickly?